Dear students, today you are going to study income from salary number 1. For the purpose of income tax, already you came to know in my previous presentation, the gross total income of an SSC is classified under the following 5 heads. I mean to say any income for that matter, it should fall under any one of the following heads. Like income from salary under section 15 to 17, income from house property section 22 to section 27, profits and gains from business or profession section 28 to 44, capital gains under section 45 to 55, and income from other sources section 56. Now we'll take up the first head of income, that is income from salary. Now let us study the chargeability of salaries. So when the income is charged under the head salaries. Number 1, any salary due from an employer or former employer to an SSC in the previous year, whether paid or not. So it is on due basis. When it is due, either from the former employer or present employer to an SSC in the previous year, whether actually paid or not. Even if it is not paid, doesn't matter as long as it is due. Second one is on receipt basis. Any salary paid or allowed to him in the previous year by an employer or former employer, whether due or not. First one is on due basis, second one is on receipt basis. Third one is arrears of salary. That is any arrears salary paid or allowed to him. Any arrears of salary paid or allowed to him in the previous year by an employer or former employer, if not charged to tax in any earlier previous year. So any arrears of salary paid or allowed to him in the previous year, either by an employer or former employer, if not charged to tax in any earlier previous years. Where advance salaries paid is included in total income, it shall not be included in the total income when the salary becomes due. In other words, salary should be taxed either on receipt basis or on due basis. It cannot be taxed twice or both under receipt basis as well as under due basis. However, loan advanced with the employer shall never be treated as salary. There are certain rules regarding the salaries. If you have to consider an income as salary, there are certain rules. Let us see some of the rules. Employer-employee relationship. So if an income should be called salary, there should be employer-employee relationship between the two persons. For example, a director or agent receiving fee or commission can't be considered as employee of the company because there is no employer-employee relationship. Similarly, a MP or MLA is not considered as an employee of the government as he is an elected representative of the people. Therefore, any salary paid to an MP or MLA, it is not taxed under the head not taxed under the head salaries, rather that is taxed under the head income from other sources. Then place of accrual. If the salary is earned in India, it is deemed to accrue or arise in India. If it is earned in India, it is deemed that it has accrued or arisen in India. For example, if the person employed in India goes abroad on leave, any salary paid to him outside India is deemed to have been earned in India. So also, if a person retires from employment in India and settles abroad after retirement, any pension received by him outside shall be deemed to have been earned in India. No distinction between salaries and wages. So whether it is salaries or wages, no distinction is made as far as income from salaries are concerned. Okay, normally wages are paid on day-to-day basis, whereas salaries are paid on monthly basis. But for tax purposes and for taking it under the head income from salaries, no difference is made between salaries and wages. Salary and professional income distinguished. Every profession involves making successive contracts. Income derived therefrom is taxed under Section 28. For example, the income earned by a lawyer in various cases. On the other hand, if he is employed by a company, though he gives counseling, the income received by him is treated as salary. Let me give one more example. A chartered accountant, for example, if he practices independently and collects fees from his clients, then he is in the profession. That is taxed under the head professional income under Section 28. On the other hand, same chartered accountant is employed as an accounts officer in a company, then he is working as an employee and he is getting salary. Therefore, his income is taxed under the head income from salaries. Similarly, doctor. If a doctor practices independently in a clinic, his income is charged under the head income from profession. But in the case of government doctor or doctor appointed in a government hospital, he is in the employment and therefore his salary is taxed under the head income from salaries. I hope you understood the difference between salary and professional income. Receipts from persons other than employer. For example, an university professor, he gets regular salary that is taxed under the head income from salary. But during evaluation work, he may get some remuneration from the university. In that case, the remuneration received though because of his employment or because by reason of employment, still it is received from university. So that is not taxed under the head salary, rather it is taxed under the head income from other sources under Section 56. Salary from more than one employer. So salary from more than one employer, whether full-time or part-time, so that should be clubbed and it should be taken as salary income in the relevant previous year or years. Application of salary or voluntary foregoing. Application of salary refers to utilizing or appropriating the salary after its receipt by the assessee towards various payments. The voluntary foregoing of salary by the employee of his salary due to him is application of salary and hence fully taxable. For example, from his salary some amount might be deducted and transferred towards provident fund, or say for example savings bank account, or might have been adjusted towards loan. All these are voluntary deductions and therefore that is fully taxable. It's not the net amount, but it is the gross amount that is taxable. Tax-free salary. Sometimes what happens, the employer not only pays the salary but also he pays the tax on the salary paid to the employee. So on behalf of the employee, not only gives him salary but also tax is paid on his behalf. In this case, salary paid plus tax paid to the income tax department together is taken as his gross salary. However, any tax paid by an employer in respect of non-monetary perquisites, it should be non-monetary, it's not no monetary, non-monetary perquisite of employees, in case the employer opts to bear the tax, is exempt under Section 10 subsection 10cc. Hence, such tax paid shall not be regarded as income in the hands of the employee. Surrender of salary. If an employee surrenders his salary to the central government under Section 2 of the Voluntary Surrender of Salaries Exemption from Taxation Act 1961, the salary so surrendered would be exempt while computing his taxable income. Deduction from salary. Compulsory deductions by the employer from the salary are mere application of income. For example, TDS, tax deducted at source, or say towards the provident fund, or towards rent, or towards his savings bank account, whatever it is. These are all deductions, but while computing the taxable salary, the gross amount should be taken. That is, net salary add deductions together his gross salary, that is taxable. Family pension. Any pension received by the widow or legal heir of the deceased person. Deceased person means person who is no more. Is taxable under the head income from other sources. Salary grade. Salary grade refers to salary at the starting point and the annual increment thereafter till the period of his service. For example, starting salary grade of an employee is rupees 10,000 dash 1,000 dash 15,000 dash 2,000, like that. What it means is his starting basic pay is 10,000 and he is entitled to annual increment of rupees 1,000. So once he completes 1 year, his salary will be, basic salary will be 10,000 plus 1,000, 11,000. Similarly, after completion of 2 years, his salary will be 11,000 plus 1,000, 12,000. This goes on until he reaches 15,000. Once he reaches the basic of 15,000, his annual increment is 2,000. So next year his basic salary will be 15,000 plus 2, 17,000. Very next year 19,000. So that way that is called salary grade. Now when will be the due date of salary? So if the date when the salary becomes due, it is the date when the salary becomes due. When the salary becomes due, in the case of government employees, salary becomes due on 1st of next month. For example, September month salary is due on October 1st. October month salary is due on 1st of November, that way. But in the case of non-government employees, salary becomes due at the end of each month. Especially in private organizations, salary will be due at the end of that particular month. Salary is usually taxed on due basis. So this is all about the rules of salary. More details we learn in the next video. Thank you very much for giving a patient listening.